My name is Amy Wolf, and today I will be taking you through my Unit 6 critical approaches, audience theory. One of these things is the hypodermic needle. It's one way that the audience consume the media that's been produced for them. It's often described as a magic bullet theory. It makes the audience feel out of control and therefore passive to what we watch. It sees that the audience are an empty vessel and they're just waiting and longing to be filled up with all the stuff that the media want to sort of put into us. It all started back in the 1920s, 1930s. It wasn't initially accepted by the scholars as many mass communication books indicated. It is a linear communication theory, meaning that it goes from start to finish in chronological order, and suggests that the media literally injects the information that they want us to consume straight into our brains. And with the magic bullet theory, it suggests that the media is a gun that shoots whatever they want us to receive straight into our heads again. It makes, like I said before, it makes the audience member passive consumers of media and employs an analogy that monkey see, monkey do, and that everybody is a product of his or her environment, therefore making us leaving no room for individuality. If you just take a look back at the First World War, when this theory was actually active and encouraged, it became useful for recruiting the soldiers. Researchers analysed and observed the use of propaganda during the First World War to see exactly how the audience can be manipulated into joining the First World War, because they only told one side of the story. The more that they glamorise the idea of going to war, the more people joined up for it. There was actually a famous poster that was put up around Britain, and then over the years has been interpreted in different cultures, and it was the one of the man standing pointing at you saying your country needs you, which you can see now. Okay, cool. Yeah. Uses and gratification. This is one of the theories that actually contradicts the hypodermic needle theory. Whereas the hypodermic needle sort of prides itself on the audience having no mind of their own and just being sort of open to whatever they're given, the use and gratification is our chance to sort of like fight back and say no, we do have a say in what we want to watch. When we're watching TV, when we tune into a program on TV, we have the option of what we want to watch when we turn on that TV. When we go to the cinema, we also have a choice in what we choose to see in the theatre. Once inside the audience and once inside the theatre as an audience, we don't necessarily have the control over what happens during that film, which is in which then the hypodermic needle theory can be applied. But although some people do have the choice to literally walk out of the theatre, a majority of us won't do that because we pay money for it. Excuse me. There are 4 major headlines, subheadings, under the use and classification theory, and these are following. The personal identity. This happens during primary and secondary socialisation, when we start to know who we are as people. At this stage, we can make up our own minds as to the things we want to watch, the kind of things we like, the things we don't like. When watching something, we can sort of pick up things that we want to accept as part of our character, and sometimes decline things that we don't associate with ourselves as well. So that's the whole personal identity thing, where you actually know the kind of person that you are. Through my personal identity, that I'm able to know that I do not particularly like bloody and gory films, so anything that's Tarantino doesn't sit well with me. However, again, through that same theory, I'm able to say that I do like comedy films and I do like action films as well, so it works both ways. The next step is surveillance, and this is surveillance, and this is everything that we choose to consume that's sort of factual and informative, and that can vary from documentaries to the news, newspapers, etc. The third one is entertainment, and that's literally, it's what it says on the tin, anything that entertains us. It goes hand in hand with the personal identity, because what you like will entertain you, what you don't like won't. However, some people may say that Danny, once we were doing this whole project at the beginning, Danny said that documentaries sort of entertained him, and that's his personal preference. So again, the surveillance entertainment can then become interlinked. The last and final one is personal relationships, and that's anything that creates a relation between a group of people or just another person. It often happens through conversation, social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything you can sort of talk about. And a perfect example that I can think of right now is the whole EastEnders storyline, the whodunit thing when Phil got shot. I think that sort of like generated a lot of publicity for the show, and then it was sort of eligible to be dragged on for a long period of time just because some people weren't talking about it. And it happens every single week with like East Essex, maybe Chelsea, like anything that we watch, you'll talk about it. Even films that you see on like in the cinema, you want to talk about it. The effects debate is a debate that's been ongoing, and that's been sort of investigating how we as audience react to what we watch and how that affects us as people. One prime example that I can use is the whole Batman story, where a guy went inside the theatre, watched a Batman Return film, and then later on thought that it was appropriate to then go into another theatre and shoot up the whole theatre like place, and and it just goes to show that how easily we can be influenced by what we watch. Not necessarily that it happens all the time, but this is obviously someone like people can argue and say that he was crazy, he had some mental problems or whatever, but then it all just sort of boils down to he deemed this sort of act acceptable because he had seen it on screen, and it was sort of encouraged on screen. I think another example I can use is the whole Disney films and Disney characters and stuff, where they sort of like portray men to be Prince Charmings, and they're gonna love you forever and they're always gonna care for you, and you're gonna end up being a princess and live happily ever after in your castle. But in hindsight, that's not the way it is. Like things happen in life that are beyond your control, and therefore it can't make you have that happy ending all the time. It takes a very fortunate person or a very like lucky situation for that to happen. And that brings me to the end of my audience theory presentation. I hope it is as informative as I hoped it would be, and you learned a thing or two.